What's happening, YouTube? Thanks again for tuning in to Poor Boys RC. Today I want to get the Tamiya TD-4, almost knocked over my drink, the TD-4 Super Avante body started. I'm going to go a little different this route. Instead of starting off with the kit build, which I normally do, I think most of us normally do, I'm going to start with the body this time and just do a quick video on the body, because looking at this mold, there are a lot of lines on here, and I think as a beginner, you may get overwhelmed by it. Maybe not overwhelmed, but you may make a mistake. So I've studied the instructions carefully. I highly recommend you do the same when you go to build this kit. Really pay close attention to the instructions, because they do a fantastic job of outlining where you should be cutting, where you shouldn't be cutting, all that kind of good stuff, which portion of the body needs to be which color. They go through great detail to explain all that to you. But I think it's worthwhile taking your time and really just kind of memorizing these pages prior to getting your scissors out, your Lexan scissors, and starting to slice this thing up. Because, man, with all these lines in this mold, you can see how a mistake could be made quite easily. There are multiple parts to this body, which is interesting. There's like a separate little wing bag here. There are fenders, as you know, in the rear and in the front. And just the way that the mold sits, you know, it could confuse a guy, I think, or a gal. So I want to take my time and make sure we do this right and share it with you guys. Make sure you guys do it right when you go to build your Avante. Some other components here for the driver's cockpit. And then, of course, the wing, which is like a multi-tiered, multi-level, super fast and furious, downforce capable wing, which is pretty cool. I like how they did this. It's a bit of a throwback to the original Avante, where you had an adjustable spoiler. Here it's not so much adjustable on the fly, but you can trim the spoiler to be sort of a mild-looking spoiler, a little more of an extreme-looking spoiler. So, pretty cool stuff. Lots of options. Let's get into it. And right here, guys, I have to say, I think Tamiya did a really great job of sort of setting you up for success when doing this body. They have let you know that there are a couple tools you're going to need to get this done. A pair of scissors for cutting these nice long straight lines, a hobby knife for some of these more complicated curved lines, a drill bit for drilling out your body post holes, and also a body reamer. So go over this. They do describe a couple different tools that'll be needed and when to use them. And on top of that, again, really get to know this manual and know what you're going to be cutting out and what you can discard. So obviously the white areas are the body in which you want to keep, and the dark grayed out areas are the parts of Lexan in which you can discard. So right away, looking at this, it may be a little bit confusing. So this really helps a person understand what they need to cut out, what they don't need to cut out. Interesting how we've got this sort of extra original, super funky, weird spoiler thing back here. Flares, or fenders or fender flares, whatever you want to call them, which you wouldn't normally see on a buggy. And then, of course, you know, some of these clear access, not access panels, but these viewing panels, I guess you'd call them. So really just a funky design, okay, to this body. So pay close attention. Once again, pay close attention when doing this one. First step and most important step, which I've already done off camera, is clean this body exceptionally well. And when I say clean a body exceptionally well, I mean it. I've cleaned this thing 3 times with dish soap. Nice hot water and dish soap. Get it very, very clean. A clean Lexan body is going to help paint it here, and you're going to get a nicer product that's more durable, because let's face it, this thing is going to take some bumps, and you want that paint to adhere to the Lexan as well as it possibly can. Having a clean substrate is going to make that process work a lot better. Remember that. So again, guys, in this video, I'm going to use a couple different tools to get this body cut out. I will use, majority of what I'm going to use is my trusty Lexan cutting scissors. There's a curved pair, a straight pair, and then a razor blade, and most people would use a hobby knife. I've always used razor blades in the industry that I work in, so I'm very comfortable using one. In fact, I'm more comfortable using this razor blade than I am using a hobby knife. So I use these. If you use razor blades, hey, good on you. If you use a hobby knife, use a hobby knife. But we're going to go over the 3 different tools, when to use them. And again, this is how I'm doing it. Doesn't mean this is how you have to do it. This is just my method, and I just kind of want to go over it with you guys and show you how I would cut out this body. And one last thing to mention, guys, before I start cutting this up, there is one area here, and right here on page 48, right about there on page 48, where they explain this section and how to cut this. And if you look at the body, at a quick glance of this body, I wouldn't really know exactly where I would cut it. I would probably want to follow that big swooping line right there. And is that the right thing to do? No, that is the wrong thing to do. So where I would have followed that swooping line right there, that's not the right thing to do. So pay special attention to that, guys, when you hit page 48, when you're cutting the right side of your body. Pay special attention to that line because you don't want to mess it up. So I like to start by doing the majority of the work first. So I'm going to get my straight scissors, and I am just going to, I'm going to cut out the main section of this body, and I'll leave the fenders for now. I'll just sort of roughly cut them out, and we'll trim those out in a few minutes. So by having removed the fenders and that rear wing, now I've got a piece of Lexan that's a lot easier to cut out. Again, this is just kind of my way of doing things. If you don't do it this way, that's great. This is Phil's way of doing things. Now this nice long line right here, you could take a pair of scissors. A lot of you guys I know would use a blade, a straight blade, and you could score that line nicely. Let's try both. Let's see what happens. For the purposes of this video, let's try both. So with the scissors, we have a nice result. I kind of goofed up a little bit right there, but I could take a piece of sandpaper and sand that smooth if I wanted to, which I'll probably just do real quick. But before we do that, let's take the razor blade to the other side. And just a reminder, guys, when you're using a blade to cut a Lexan body, you aren't trying to cut through the Lexan. You're just trying to score it. You want to cut along that perforated edge, not perforated, but that mold line. You want to just cut along it, but not through it, not through the Lexan. Just really just take that edge of the blade and cut into it, and you'll pass through it 1 or 2 times, and then you're going to break or crack the Lexan apart, okay? Remember that part. So we've scored it, we bend it, and it starts to crack along the line. So some of you would go along the edge the whole way. Personally, I like using the scissors. So I'm going to complete this with my scissors just because I trust myself a little bit more. But I just wanted to show that to you guys. I'm just going to complete this little cut right here. Make sure I'm doing the right thing. You know, here we're coming up to this tricky part right toward the front fender where we need to ensure that we don't cut off too much material. Again, guys, just a reminder, pay attention to this step right here, okay? We've got the zoomed in view right here. So make sure you cut accordingly and don't cut off too much material and make a mess of your beautiful body. What am I doing? Pay attention, Phil. And here for this sort of curved portion of the front, I'm going to use my curved scissors. Makes it that much easier to cut. And I realize that when I'm doing this, because I've edited a few of these videos now where I'm trimming bodies, as I'm trimming, I look super ticked off. I'm like, I look super angry at the body. I'm not angry. I think that's my concentration face. That's why all my teachers in high school thought I was a jerk. I was trying so hard. I wasn't the brightest kid out there. So I was trying really hard and concentrating. They probably thought I looked pissed off all the time. Which now in hindsight kind of makes sense. Sorry, teachers. Now, some of you guys that watch have mentioned using a Dremel to, you know, put a sanding drum on, clean up some of these nice round edges. 100%, that's a fantastic idea. And I endorse that idea 100%. I just don't have any round sanding bits right now for my Dremel, unfortunately, and I've just been procrastinating and buying more. I do need to get some more. But they work great for doing some rounded edges and getting in there. I'm at the point in my RC career where I've accepted the fact that none of the bodies I do are perfect. So I don't get too wound up about it. There was a time in my life when I would. I used to really beat myself up for not making my bodies perfect. But those days have long since passed. I'm just trying to enjoy it now for what it is. All right, guys, so that is the body shell itself. Okay, there's still more trimming to do, but that's the shell itself, all cut out. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of quickly zoom through the rest of this, get it all cut out, and get it ready for paint. All right, guys, so I've made some really good progress off camera. Had to do it really quick because I find it very challenging to mask and record and do all these little intricate things, large hands, camera, little body. It doesn't work. So here we are. So a couple more tips for you while you're getting your body here ready for paint, okay? So let's start with the actual body shell itself. It did come with masking, not pre-cut, I'm sorry, but traced out masks for the portions of the body that you want to keep clear. In this case, these two side portions. There's this front portion here, so you can see the front shocks working, and then the driver's cockpit area. Okay, so that came already in there. The rest of this masking I've done myself. Looks like a bit of a mess, but you know what I like to do is I start off with a fine tape like this, and you can get it from Tamiya. Actually, I'll grab some right now. This stuff right here is perfect. Comes in 10 mil, 5 mil, 2 mil, nice and thin. And that stuff is awesome. So I take a roll of that and I start off just by making my surround. And we're masking off the area that's going to be painted yellow. As per the instructions, we're going to paint the blue portion first. So I've masked off. First thing you do is you mask off the clear portions. Then you get in there and you mask off your yellow portion second. Gone ahead and masked off my wing. It's ready to go. So now we have to get this guy ready for paint. And for whatever reason, since I was a kid, I always paint my bodies inside the box in which the kit came. Don't ask me why, it's just something I've always done. So a good tip, again, we're gonna start off with the blue here. So a good tip is to take your parts, because I want to do all my blues at once, and then all my yellows at once. And in this case, we're going to do this body we're going to do the spoiler, and we are going to do the flares, or the fenders. So I like to take some tape and tape, oh, kind of overlapping, just like that. And as you can see, those are all four of the fenders. So I've taped them down so they're not going to move around on me while I'm painting. It makes it really easy to paint because you can move the box all over the place and they're not going to fly around on you. So that's pretty cool. So put that guy down. Another tip while painting, guys, is remember this body comes with a like a masking film on the outside, a clear film that's on the outside here. So you're going to paint the inside of the body, but careful on things like the wing where you're painting the outside of the wing, okay? It's a little bit different on the wing. I've got my colors here, guys, my PS16 and my PS6 yellow, which is very well used. But starting off with the PS16, and yes, I'm going box art. I thought about going outside of the box, but decided against it at the end of the day. Gonna go box art. I got something with WD-40 and Wolverine that I just can't say no to. So really important, guys. First couple coats, make sure the coats are very, very light, okay? If you go really heavy with this paint, this stuff's super aggressive. It's gonna start to lift, it's gonna start to peel up your masking tape. You spent all this time cutting and masking, you can really bugger it up even with your paint. So super important, okay? First couple coats, go very light. In fact, most of your coats, all of your coats should be quite light. But the first ones are crucial to put down very light coats, all right? Check it out. Super light coats. And am I doing this in my house? Yes, I'm doing this in my house. It's my hobby studio, and I've got the most wonderful and understanding wife in the planet. Lets me get away with murder. Love you, babe. Thank you. So on a nice hot day, this thin coat of paint, I mean, if we're doing this outside on a nice hot day, it's perfect because the sun's going to heat this up. The paint's going to dry super fast. It would flash off in 2 minutes. You can be right back into your second coat. Today it's cold, it's wet out, not ideal situation. So I'm just gonna hit the pause button on the camera, let this thing do its thing, come back in 10 minutes, all right? Catch you in a bit. So the magic of television, it's been about 15 minutes. Let's do this again. Coming along nicely. This color is very transparent. So one thing, yeah, I used PS16, I believe it was on the original Avante. And again, it's rather a very transparent color. So I'm going to predict we're going to need maybe 5, 6, 7 coats to get good coverage on this. So bear with me, might take a while. Ooh, look at that. So it's been a couple hours and I've put down about 8 coats now. So I started going a little bit heavier on the last coats. Got a little bit of a run, got kind of carried away. Check it out, guys, it looks really sweet. Oh yeah, it's like candy. Fenders are looking awesome. Spoiler looks good. I don't think we got any bleed through anywhere. Even went ahead and painted some of the yellow parts that we needed to have painted. And this little black part here as well. I stunk up the house pretty good. I'm gonna leave this overnight now. Let your paint cure up really, really well before you start unmasking things. So I'm gonna leave it overnight, to be honest with you, before I start putting the yellow on the inside of the body, on where I have to put yellow on top of the blue now. I'm gonna let this cure up overnight, so it really has a good chance to harden up. and then we'll tack it tomorrow. Catch you guys in a bit. All right, guys, so it's been 24 hours since we did the paint work, and I started getting most of this taken apart off camera and unmasking the body. So everything's been coming out real nice. Just want to talk about a few things. The fender flares, or the fenders, I guess you call them. They turned out great. That's all good. Spoiler turned out great. I even took the protective film off of it. Spoiler looks awesome. The body turned out really nice. I got a couple little runs in it. So a couple things that help prevent runs, guys, is doing this on a nice warm day. Even using a hair dryer, if you hit it with a hair dryer, get it really nice and hot. And if your paint is even nice and warm, some guys will even take their paint can and put the paint can in a thing of warm water. That'll help it not only shoot out nice and smooth. What's the word? There's a word for it, not shoot out. Man, it's escaping me. But that'll help the paint spray nice and smooth. And it'll also help prevent it from running. Also, try and keep your coats nice and light. And I went pretty heavy on my last couple coats, just because this paint color is so transparent. I'd say I put about 8 coats on this, and it's still a tiny bit on the transparent side. You'll need a lot of, if you're going for the box art, you're gonna need get at least 1 can of this. Consider getting a second can, just in case. So with that being said, I've unmasked the portion that we're now going to paint yellow, but I've come across one little issue here, and I wanted to talk about it here because I'm sure you guys come across this issue occasionally when painting multicolor RC bodies. And that is a little bit of bleed through. Take a closer look and we'll see what the bleed through is all about. Oh yeah, before we do that, one more time, quick disclaimer, I'm not a professional on this subject matter. This is just my way of doing things. There are probably a ton of different ways to handle this challenge. And in fact, I have handled it many different ways in the past. Today, we're going to conquer the bleed through challenge with one particular solution that I think is nice and easy, and everyone can access the products needed to do this on their own bodies, just from their own local hobby stores. So what is bleed through? Let's see how well my camera can focus. Do you see right there? See that little bit of blue that's kind of bled through and it's on right there? Oh, that's a better angle. See that right there? I don't want that there. I don't want you guys to be able to see that because this cockpit area needs to be left clear. And I want a yellow strip along the back. That's what the box art looked like. So I want to clean up that little bit of blue right there because that's not going to look so nice. If I put my yellow on top, you're going to see blue. It's going to look pretty hack, if you ask me. And then these lines here, I tried to get them as crisp as I could, but they're not quite perfect either. How do we fix that, Phil? Let me tell you. There's a neat little product out there by a little company called Tamiya, you might have heard of. Polycarbonate body cleaner. Stuff works pretty good. Now in the past, you've probably seen me use sandpaper. I could use sandpaper to sand out those lines, make them nice and crisp. You can also use this polycarbonate body cleaner. So for the purpose of this video, let's try this out and see how it works. Q-tip, body cleaner, dip, dip, dip. See that foggy line right there? Let's see if we can make it go away. Holy son of a gun. Look at that, guys. Our foggy line is gone. So that's a really tough thing to do on camera without making a mess of this, because essentially what's happening is this polycarbonate body cleaner is diluting the paint that's on there. And the paint that's on there, I mean, it's just fogged. It's just fogged on there. It's not on there too well. There's not much of it on there. As you can see, a little bit came off on the Q-tip. I don't want to make more of a mess of this body. So I'm just going to complete the rest of this while chatting with you guys. If you have any questions on this, leave them down in the comment section below. Happy to answer you guys. But I want to just continue on with this and get this thing looking as good as I can get it to look without making it look worse. Having nice, clean, crisp edges, that's, you know, I mean, I'm not a perfectionist and I'm not Mr. Know-it-all when it comes to RC or anything in this world for that matter. But these nice, clean, crisp edges, I think really make a difference. They're going to make it look a little bit tidier than the average guy's buggy will. That's it with that. We are yet ready for the yellow, but I have to mask off the cockpit window once again. I'm going to do that quickly off camera. Catch you in a few. So that's it, guys. Our cockpit is remasked. And this one line, I want to show you this one line because if you look at the box art, actually, let me show you the box art. I love this one line where right here where the yellow goes up and in behind the cockpit. There's a separate piece for the body. That's this piece that sits right here and helps with that. But the box art, the way it seems that there's a yellow line in behind this cockpit. So I've masked it in such a way, and you might not do this, but I did. And you can see where it's clear there. I've left a little clear line behind the cockpit. I want that to be yellow. Is that going to make a difference? I don't know. I think it is. It will on my Avante. How about we say that? By the time we put this on, you probably won't even notice it, but whatever. It's all good. That's what I'm doing. So cockpit is redone. I'm going to go outside and I'm going to shoot this outside in the garage, and I'll come back when it's all done. We'll get it unmasked. Check it out, guys. It's all done. It is all painted up. I'm going to get the stuff out of the way. There's our beautiful buddy. Gonna do a little unmaskage here. See what's really going on. Oh yeah. How's that look? Not too bad. Not perfect, but not bad. Pretty good. A little more bleed through right there. I'll clean that up. Now, time for one of the cool parts, and that's getting those little clear panels unmasked. Let's see what these guys look like. Not the cleanest, crispest lines I've ever seen in my life. I was thinking of taking a black marker anyway and going around the perimeter of that access window, kind of giving it an outline. But also take some of that polycarb cleaner and clean that up a little bit so it's not as rough and kind of boopy looking. What about these guys here on the side? What do they look like? Again, not bad, but not perfect. Pretty good. Pretty good. And let's go last but not least. And the final tip I'll give you guys when unmasking is to pull toward the tape, just as I'm doing right here. And that'll help create as crisp a cut line as you can possibly get. That one's probably the best looking of them all. So I'm going to clean those edges up off camera because I've already done that on camera with you guys. But it's time for the big reveal. The best part about having a freshly painted body is this, and that is when you peel back your protective film and start to reveal what your paint job actually looks like. So let's get this guy started. Come on now. All right, you guys ready? Drum roll. Oh snap, would you look at that? That right there instantly makes it look so much better. Wow, that's nice. Yeah, I've just got a couple little edges to clean up in there, and I'm happy with how this turned out. To be honest, I'm really quite happy with how that turned out. What do you think, guys? Should I put black around here? Just like an outline around that access window? I was thinking about putting it there and around the cockpit, just to kind of separate them, make it look a little bit more defined. Leave your thoughts down below. Let me know what you think. I think it might look cool. But at any rate, that's it. The body is done. I've got a few more little bits and pieces that I need to get, the protective film off. I'll do that off camera. I've got to get these guys mounted. Like this little guy sits. That guy sits up there, something like that. This guy's part of the cockpit inside here. So I've got more work to do here, but I just wanted to do this video, and I'm sorry it was as long as it is, but just get this body painted, go over it with you guys, answer, go over some of that noob type stuff that some of you guys that are new to painting a body may have some questions. Hopefully I provided some insight for you. Again, if you have any more questions, throw them down in the comments area below. Always happy to answer you guys. Stay tuned, because I'm going to finish. I still need to complete the build on this. I've started it. I'll complete it really soon, and we'll get a running video coming up really soon as well. I can't wait to get this thing out. I'm super excited for that. So thanks again for tuning in, everybody. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. And as always, be excellent to each other.